In previous videos, we've already analyzed every millimeter of Easter eggs in the Sacrifice cinematic, but today I'm ready to make a bold statement. We have the best cinematic in world's history before us. Yep, I do hear your arguments. The nostalgia for the 2014 Warriors is still strong, and the epicness of Rise still gives me goosebumps. And let us be honest, the 2025 soundtrack is its weak point. It is not as pumping and not as memorable. But forget about the music. If we take a look at the visual masterpiece, the depth of the plot, and the respect for the history of esports, then the 2025 cinematic simply leaves its predecessors in the dust. It is not just a video, it is a real encyclopedia of our emotions over the past 15 years. Today I will prove why it is an absolute masterpiece from Riot. We will build an honest hierarchy of all past anthems and analyze 3 reasons why Sacrifice has forever inscribed itself in the history of the League of Legends Starry Sky. Let's go! So before we dive into the details of 2025, we need to understand what makes a cinematic better if we remove the music. We're gonna evaluate them based on 3 main visual features. Number 1. Animation quality and style. How technically flawless, detailed, and unique the visuals look, from facial expressions to special effects. Depth of visual narrative. How well the cinematic tells the overall narrative and the personal compelling story of the players in esports without using words. Encyclopedic density of references. This is our main trump card, so to say. How saturated the video is with hidden details, Easter eggs, and meaningful references that only a true League of Legends fan will understand. So we know our criteria. Now let us see why the 2025 cinematic came out on top. We will not strictly rank them, but simply compare what other cinematics are missing. The first problem is the absence of player history and iconic moments from past tournaments in some cinematics. Take The Legends Never Die from 2017 for example. It is a wonderful epic animation, but it lacks player history. We are shown the champions Ashe, Garen, and Lee Sin. These are generic, so to say, general images, not real people with their pain and triumphs. In 2025, every frame, every movement is the story of Caps, TheShy, Levi, and Faker, which creates a much stronger emotional connection to esports. The second problem is that the plot is too generic and general. The all-time classics like Warriors of 2014 and Takeover from 2020 are powerful concepts, but they're abstract. They focus on the general idea of the warrior or player and strength. They have little to no personalization. 2025, on the other hand, uses the same general metaphors but fills them with personal historical meaning, referring to specific matches and quotes. This includes cinematics that focus on a narrow personal story without broad historical coverage. For example, Phoenix of 2019 tells the personal drama of 3 players, but it doesn't reveal the iconic moments from past tournaments, epic matches, and references to the history of worlds as a whole. In a similar manner, Ignite of 2016 has no central plot. It is simply a collection of Easter eggs and a list of some game moments from past tournaments, not united by a narrative. In 2025, on the contrary, it combines personal drama with specific historical reconstructions, making the story multi-layered. And then there is the last problem. The following cinematics, although visually epic with a historical narrative and capable of competing with the 2025 cinematic, have a narrow focus. For example, in Heavy is the Crown of 2024, although other players are present. The main focus is on T1 and Faker. In the Rise and God cinematics, the main focus is also on specific players, only, ambition and depth, respectively. Thus, the 2025 cinematic is unique. It was the first to take the best from all its predecessors. There is a common narrative, epicness, a focus on several players and iconic games from past worlds. And in addition to all of the above, this cinematic set a record for the number of details and Easter eggs, of which there are over 70. This is not just a video, it is the culmination of the genre, and we will now prove it by moving on to our first criterion: animation quality and style. Before we continue, it is important to clarify one thing. We are not gonna argue about which animation style is better. World cinematics have always been unique. From the 2D stylization of Rise to last year's arcane aesthetic, each has its own charm, but the 2025 cinematic stands out from the rest with its depth of visual emotion and character acting, so to say. In previous cinematics, players were often just skins or avatars of champions. They were awesome, but sometimes the person themselves was lost behind the stylization. In 2025, Riot bet on striking recognizability. Take a look at the main characters: Caps, TheShy, Levi, and Faker. These are not just similar models. The animators conveyed their specific facial expressions, their gaze, their mannerisms. In the video, we see not game characters but real people who have entered this fantastic world. This creates a completely different level of empathy. The second criterion we use to evaluate is the visual narrative, the epic of personal struggle. While previous cinematics were often just a series of battles, Sacrifice is a complete philosophical parable. It has a global goal. From the very first frames, we are given a vector, the path to the top, to the center of cosmic radiance. This is a metaphor for the World's Cup and the immortality it brings. The main genius of this video sequence is how it weaves into the history. Here we have four main characters who represent different regions: Caps, Levi, TheShy, and Faker. But the obstacles the heroes encounter on their way are not fictional monsters. These are real game situations from past tournaments that once decided their fate on the way to the top. We see not just animation, we see a reconstruction of moments that made us scream in front of our monitors. We're shown that in order to reach this cosmic center, the players had to literally fight their way through their most difficult moments and riskiest decisions. This makes the visuals not just beautiful, but documentarily important. When the heroes finally reach this space in their finale, it feels like catharsis. It is proof that they have passed the test. At this moment, they cease to be mere players. They write themselves into history. Going into space symbolizes that their journey is complete, and now their achievements belong not only to them, but to the history of League of Legends itself. And here we come to the most powerful visual finale in all 15 years. There are many references and Easter eggs, as well as a starry sky with a cup in the center. This is not just a decoration. This is the living history of the tournament. Every constellation we see, from the heavy as the crown symbol to the EDG fans celebrating their 2021 World Championship victory, is proof that no great moment is forgotten. Riot is literally telling us, all of this is etched in the sky of esports forever. The fact that these moments have been turned into stars proves that these people and these matches have become part of an eternal legacy that future generations of players will watch. No other anthem has had such depth of narrative, and it is this density of history that brings us to the final most explosive point, the analysis of the very star Easter eggs that make this cinematic the best. Even though our channel already does have a complete breakdown of all the references from this cinematic, in here we want to briefly mention the most significant and memorable ones. As we know, there are four main players in the video. Next, we are shown some of the most iconic games they have played in. The first is an incredibly epic moment featuring Caps as Silas in the World's 2020 quarterfinals, G2 vs Gen G. Caps gets stunned by Ruler's arrow as Ashe. After coming out of stun and in order to avoid damage from Klid's spear as Nidalee, Caps immediately activates Zhonya's hourglass. He then steals Ashe's ultimate, hits Klid with it, and thus wins the team fight and the game for G2. The second epic moment involves Levi as Karthus at Worlds 2022, GAM vs TES. All of his allies were dead, but when Levi respawned, he used his ultimate, thereby protecting the allied nexus and winning the game overall. There are also many references in this moment. Take a look at Levi's book. It is not just a player's diary. It contains the lyrics of past anthems. With this gesture, Riot acknowledges that Worlds 2025 is not just another chapter, but the finale of a great saga. The cinematic literally embodies the entire legacy of the past, acknowledging the greatness of those who came before it. The third moment in the cinematic is related to TheShy at Worlds 2018 semifinals, G2 vs IG Game 3. TheShy flies into his enemies but gets caught and perks his ultimate as Lissandra. After that, we see an incredibly beautiful and epic scene where TheShy strikes all enemies with one blow, leaving one of the most memorable games of the World Championship in history. Last but not least, the moment related to Faker at Worlds 2023 semifinals, T1 vs JDG Game 3. Faker finds the perfect angle and uses Azir's ultimate on Ruler as Varus. Here we can notice an Easter egg, a phrase in Korean that means I saw the angle. This is a quote from a documentary about Faker for Hall of Legends. Ruler first utters this phrase when describing the moment he defeated Faker in the third game of the World Championship Season 7 Finals, handing Faker his first defeat in the finals. 6 years later, Faker takes his revenge. But the real triumph is the final Starry Sky. It is literally the Hall of Fame of esports under the open sky. Let us just take a quick look at the scale. Piasek performs the Kindred dance during the 2022 World Championship. Flandre's 2,840 days to reach World's Finals. Faker Broccoli, a legendary meme among T1 fans. AR Elder Dragon from the opening ceremony of the 2017 World's Finals. Shushay, a tribute to the very first world champion. And the Starry Sky reveals even more references, such as the Heavy is the Crown symbol, Praise Ash, EDG fans, Deft's Red Inhibitor, Double Galio Ultimate, the Canny and Polar Bear, and more. No other cinematic has ever captured the entire 15-year history of the game in a single frame. It is a visual monument to every player who has ever made us believe in miracles. So why is the 2025 video the best? Because it is no longer just an advertisement for the tournament. It is true, maybe the music in Warriors or Legends Never Die made your heart beat faster. But it was in 2025 that Riot was able to create a video that respects your time spent watching the tournament. It combines an important narrative, flawless visual symbolism, the deepest personal stories of the players, and the densest concentration of Easter eggs in history. It is not just an anthem, it is our shared constellation, now forever inscribed in the history of League of Legends. In total, we counted over 70 Easter eggs throughout the cinematic. Which Easter egg is your favorite? Do write in the comments and subscribe to the channel. We're gonna continue to explore the lore and esports of League of Legends together. See you guys soon over a mug of the finest ale in all of Runeterra.